Okay.
Welcome to another episode of Ask Dr. John, a father daughter conversation series about my dad, Dr. John F. Leake's book, American Change Agent: A Life and Legacy of Seeking Diversity, Equality, and Inclusion. Today, we're talking about this topic of aging. Yes, aging. How are you, Dr. John?
I'm fine. And since we're talking about aging, I uh, I feel good. I do not feel the age that I am. I was able to get my swimming in, which uh, are laps, and I'm working at about a half a mile each time that I swim. And I was able to swim 4 days this week, which
All
was
right.
excellent. So
All right.
I'm all right. I'm ready for this aging stuff.
Okay, at 86. Come on, everybody. I'm Sweet 60. He is energetic 86. Here we go. So let's just jump right into the conversation. When we talk about aging, everybody has a different perspective on aging. How do you view aging?
Well, I think that I view it as uh, a reality that that we will age. Um,
Mm.
I'm not sure that I thought I would be at 86 uh, because neither of my parents reached that. However, um, 86 seems pretty normal. In fact, 80 seems like the new 60. I feel like I'm probably about 60
All
in the
right.
ability to do things.
Okay. Skin is popping. All right, all right. So, what are some of the things that you have used in your life to navigate your aging process? The things that happen with aging, the the things like retiring, the things like moving into new communities, the things like shifting your activities, like things, your interests, what your interests are, your hobbies, your passions, your community involvement. Tell us about that. Like, how have you navigated that?
Well, I think I'd start with saying that when you actually retire from the work that you've been doing for many years, uh, you need to be thinking about how will I use my time? Because previously, your time was being taken up with work. If you were still working 40 or more hours a week, that's a good bit. So you got to replace that. So think about what you will replace it with. I think for me, I continued to do many of the things that I had previously been doing. One of the things that I I, I began doing uh, considerable time before I actually retired was, I had become uh, a social activist uh, on social media. And so I was doing still some of the things that I had done previously.
Mhm.
I was commenting on Facebook, on Instagram. I had been working on some podcasts in which I talked about politics, I talked about race and race relationships. Um, I I even began to comment about TV shows that I watched. And particularly, I developed a real interest in the TV program Scandal. So
Yeah.
much so that I actually built a Facebook group uh, of people who followed me and became uh, really strong scandal advocates.
Yeah, you did a lot of that. Like you're live tweeting on Facebook and Twitter. And let's not forget that you also went to Blogalicious and live tweeted the scandal event there back in 2013. So your digital senior citizen activism, social activism also included blogging. Like you launched a blog and wrote on various topics: diversity, equality, inclusion, politics, um, culture, pop culture, African American culture and history. You name it, you did it. I really want folks to hear a little bit about what you wrote in chapter 19 of the book, which is life and retirement. And if you're following us and you have a copy of the book, turn to page 357 in the book. And for those that don't have the book, this is what it looks like. And we encourage you to go over to anandaleeke.com/Dr. John to learn how you can purchase the book on IngramSpark, which helps us as self-publishers. We get more profit when you go to IngramSpark. It's also available on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and other book publishers that are online. So I'd like for you to read um, the first paragraph and some of the second paragraph so people can understand um, your understanding of retirement.
Sure. Uh, I stated that I value my retirement because it has given me the freedom to do what I want, when I want, and how I want. My freedom in retirement is a privilege that has expanded my capacity to serve and continue making contributions with the knowledge and experience I have acquired for the betterment of others. And growing up, I didn't know much about retirement. I had no idea it would offer me the freedom and privilege I currently possess. I- That's I'd like to really encourage people to think about that maybe in the terms of freedom, to be able to, as I said, to do what I want when I want and not be too terribly concerned about how other folks were going to view that. Um, and uh, and the fact that I'm still here at 86, it's a privilege. And again, like other things, when you are given this and this privilege, you have some responsibility. And so I feel responsible for continuing to share the things that I know about and continue to find out about because life goes on, life changes. And so that's what you need to do as you try to live a very productive life in retirement.
So I want to give folks an example, some examples of your retirement activities. Let's start with St. Joseph's Catholic Church. You have been a part of the founding of the men's ministry as well as the African and Friends community. So let's just talk a little bit about those. And you also have been a Eucharistic minister and on the parish council, and you served as president of the parish council. But let's talk about the men's ministry, why you became a part of that, and then the African and Friends community.
Sure. Yeah, the men's ministry actually is a ministry that several of us established now about 4 years ago, uh, in which that s- several of it, well, in fact, um, many of the men in the men's ministry would be considered as senior citizens. There are a number of us who are retired, but there are also other men who are much younger. And in fact, we even have some of the youngest folks. They are still in their 20s. Uh, and so it's an intergenerational group. We are a mixed group. The bulk of the men in the men's ministry are, are Black Americans or African Americans, but we also have white and Hispanic, Latino, and so we spend time, and one of the things that we talk a lot about is discussing ways in which that we can further our faith, get a much deeper understanding, and also to share with each other things that we have experienced in our lifetime, in terms of being fathers, husbands, godfathers, and what we have experienced some, because as we've grown, we've had to talk about how we took care of our parents, and and also how we raised our children. And so for some of the younger men, they're getting the benefit of what we learned and experienced as we went through the different stages. So it's just a very powerful. We meet every other Saturday morning at 7:30 in the morning, and we generally go for a couple of hours. We've also had three retreats. Uh, Once a year, we gather and spend an entire day. We generally have special speaker, and we just we just really further our faith, uh, and it has been very insightful. I know for myself, I have learned so much over these last few years about my Catholic faith, things that I did not know, greater understanding. So that's the men's ministry, and I look forward to it. I take a very active role. I actually am the person who is the kind of the communicator. I sent out an email on Thursday prior to our meeting on Saturday, and uh, and we've been increasing in our membership too. But but now you said the other is the
African and Friends.
St. Joseph Community of African and Friends, which
Mhm.
is now, I think we're in our sixth or seventh year, and uh, several of the African brothers and sisters thought about needing to have an organization like this that would be made up of Africans and friends. And I would be considered, because I'm a Black African American, compared to an African American whose roots that definitely are from Africa. Um, and we have a number of different countries who have membership in the African and Friends organization. I um, I I have played a role as the treasurer since our inception, and I felt that it was important that since I knew that I was very good at keeping track of money. And any organization, one of the important elements is to have someone who will maintain the records as it relates to money. Um, that's been something that I have felt uh, that was one way I could truly give a contribution. I uh, I find it rewarding and important. Sometimes it pushes me a little bit in terms of trying to make sure that every dollar is accounted for. So
So there's so much that we could go into in terms of retirement, but I just want to point out to folks as we wrap up this episode of Ask Dr. John that in the chapter 19, Life After Retirement, Life in Retirement, that's the actual title.
yes,
My dad talks about downsizing, moving. He talks about the financial preparation for retirement. And, his preparation for financial retirement is much different than what my preparation is and others. I don't look at using the word retirement. I don't see myself retiring. I see myself continuing. I have a different financial experience, given what we're living through right now, given some of the choices that I've made. So it's different from everybody. Everybody has a different way of looking at retirement, um, or aging. He talks about his online activism, his political activism, his work in his career of diversity, equality, and inclusion, because even after he retired, he's did some consulting work and even writing this book. This was done in retirement, and it wasn't part of the master plan. So we hope that through this discussion, and through the book American Change Agent, that you will begin to have these kinds of conversations about what retirement look like in your family, what aging look like, how you are approaching aging physically, mentally, emotionally, financially, all of the leads. Any final words before we sign off, Dr. John?
just that I would say, do not be afraid of
Mm,
retirement.
mhm.
It's just another stage of life, and it can be for me. I say this, an enjoyable period of life. Um, I find myself engaging with new people. I'm very active. There in the course of a week with swimming 4 days a week, being involved in the Unity and pro- uh, book club
Yeah.
in my current community where I live, and of course I spent particularly the last 4 or 5 years, completing this book that we are encouraging you to purchase that talks about the entirety of my life. So, yeah, life in retirement is enjoyable.
All right. Well, everybody, we want to encourage you to go on over to anandaleek.com/Dr. John to get more information about American Change Agent. Be sure to sign up for the email list because you're going to be getting information from us on our September 18th, 2025 Underground Railroad Legacy Book Talk in Alexandria, Virginia. Go on over, click on the information. If you're in the Maryland, DC, Virginia area, look out for it. RSVP now. And if you would like us to come to your home, your organization, your church, your library, your community to talk about the book, to have a book signing, if you'd like to host us, in person or online, reach out to us and let us know because we just finished having a wonderful book reading with one of my Sigma Gamma Rho sorority sisters and her neighbors and family and friends. And it was just wonderful to have a small group discussion. I also want to point out at the end of each chapter, we have individual and group discussion questions so that if you wanted to read the book as a group or you wanted to bring people together to discuss these topics, we have some guiding thoughts on how you could do that and some reflection questions on how to make the conversation even more juicier. So with that, we'll sign off and we'll see you next time.
Take
Bye.
care. Have a good day.